Hi all, today we're going to be talking about all the submachine guns in the game via a tier list because, well, it's a good way to talk about all these things because they are an absolute mess. Yes, there's a VTuber model on the screen. This is mine. Hi, I figured that because we're just going to be staring at a browser page for the whole episode, you'd probably want something a little bit nicer to look at. So, I should also probably turn the music. So, we're going to go through the list of all the submachine guns in the game. I'm going to give you my honest thoughts on them, and just kind of rank them, which of these are worth your time, which of these are worth the certs, which of these are worth your Axiom, are they good submachine guns? And, there's a lot of these things, and some of them are really, really good, and some of them are literally atrocious. So, given that I will probably never have the time, or never want to make a review on every single one of these things, we're going to do it in one big tier list, so that you have, a short glance of everything in one video. So, very first gun, the Cyclone, the NC's first generation submachine gun, 652 RPM, 167 damage. It is an easy S tier. The Cyclone is great. It is extremely easy to use, it has extremely good damage, it has good range because its recoil is easy to control, and because it has so much damage, it works a little bit further out to range. It is probably the best suitable SMG in the entire game. Absolutely no competition. The Cyclone is that good. It's an easy S tier. Honestly, if you want to play SMGs on NC, you have to get it. It's that good. Second, the Blitz. The second generation NC submachine gun, being 845 at 125. It is also very good. In fact, I think you could probably jump it between S and A. I think it would probably sit high A, low S. It is by far the best of the second generation submachine guns. And in that regard, I think it's worth an S tier. You get a big ammo pool, you get good damage, and compared to the Sirius, which possesses the same damage and rate of fire, you have a slightly better recoil pattern. It is just a very, very comfortable submachine gun to use, and, if you want a submachine gun that has a bigger capacity, absolutely the Blitz is worth your time. It's that good. The Eridani. The Eridani it's the Vanu's first generation submachine gun, 750 at 143. With a slightly longer max damage range compared to other submachine guns. It's okay, it's just okay. It's probably a B tier submachine gun. It's pretty alright. It's very forgettable, because the only thing it really has going for it is that slightly longer max damage range, 4 meters, which is absolutely nice to have, don't get me wrong. But outside of that, it's just kind of okay. Sure, you get a bit more range than other submachine guns, but it's just kind of okay. It will kill people, but if you can headshot, you're probably better off with a Sirius or a Canis, both of which already have their own advantages over the Eridani, so it's not bad, it's just kind of forgettable. The Jackal, the TR's third generation SMG, being 600 at 167. The Jackal's alright. I think it's a solid C tier. It's just very alright, It has decent damage, although not very much. It has an easy-to-control recoil pattern. It feels satisfying to fire. It has good attachments available to it. It is a very much middle-of-the-road submachine gun. It's just a shame that it doesn't have more damage going for it, or even a bigger magazine going for it, because without it, it's just kind of It's just kind of okay. The Gladius, the NC's 500 to 200 submachine gun. Again, I think you can rotate this gun between A and S, but I'm slightly inclined to give it to S because 200 damage gives it significantly more range potential than most other submachine guns. It's very comfortable to use, it has good and interesting attachments available for it. It's just a very, very good submachine gun. Whether you personally would consider it A or S tier is more so up to you. I personally think it's good enough to be warranted at S tier, but you could argue for A. Now, you should already be noticing a trend that all 3 NC submachine guns are in S tier. They're all that good. And, well, it's not going to be the same story for the other factions. The MKV suppressed it's okay, but it's nothing that you would want to pick over other factions' alternatives. It is 779 at 125, with a slightly longer max damage range, considering it's built on the PDW. And it is okay. Unfortunately, it doesn't have the PDW's advantage of having a ranged niche, solely because it has the suppressor built in, and this will tank your damage ranges and your velocity. But it's fine for what it is, If you need an NS option, it's not that bad. But you can probably do better with your Empire-specific options. The Punisher. 769 at 143, it's a good B tier submachine gun. You know, it's pretty alright. I think it can be replaced with some of your other factions' alternatives, but it's far and away probably the best NS submachine gun available, and if nothing else, it does have some very interesting usage with its adaptive underbarrels. I just think it's not particularly good enough in the damage department to warrant bringing it anywhere up above. The PDW. The PDW sits right next to its brother, the MKV, in D tier. It has not a whole lot of damage. I mean, it's 750 at 125, which is low. I mean, the Eridani's a full damage tier above it, keep in mind. And its only real gimmick is that it's better at range than other submachine guns, which is interesting, don't get me wrong, but the problem is, by the time the PDW really starts to overtake the other submachine guns, and we're not even going to talk about the Cyclone and the Gladius, because they're just flat out better than the PDW. By the time the PDW starts to overtake the other submachine guns, you're already better off with the scout rifle or your close quarters bolt action. Unfortunately, it's not a bad weapon inherently, it's just really outshined by the fact that, you know, it's easily replaceable by other options. You know, other guns just do what the PDW wants to do better. The Kappa. Now, the Kappa's A tier, in my opinion, and I think you could probably argue for it to be a bit lower, but in my humble opinion, it's A tier. It's 740, or rather, it's 750 at 150, because it shoots 3 pellets, they each do 50 damage. Now, in my opinion, bear in mind I'm a little biased, the Kappa is my favorite weapon in the entire game. The Kappa is extremely comfortable to use, and it doesn't suffer from the reliability problems of the Tengu or the Schrodinger. It has a really nice balance between fire rate, pellets, and damage that make the gun feel nice to use and allow it to be used in hipfire as well, unlike the Tengu. It just feels really, really comfy, and in terms of A7 weapons, I think it's one of your better picks. It's very comfortable to use, it's good, I really like it. I think it's absolutely worth getting if you're into submachine guns, or if you just want a pellet-based SMG to spice things up. Now the Tengu, on the other hand. The Tengu is god-awful. It's easily F tier, it is junk. 500 at 200 spread across 4 pellets, so not only does it have a low rate of fire, or it might be 522 now, you get my point, it's low. And with only 4 pellets to do 50 damage, 200 damage, okay, 522 at 200 doesn't sound that bad. Here's the problem, that's spread across 4 pellets, and those pellets aren't very accurate. Once you start getting enemies more than 5-10 meters away from you, the Tengu's, like, killing effectiveness just goes straight through the floor, and all the way down to the middle of the earth. It is absurdly horrid to use past about 10 meters, and that unreliability alone tanks it all the way to an F tier. It doesn't even have good attachments available for it, and you can't hit fire it effectively because it's too unreliable. It's not fun to use because the Kappa exists and does everything it does better. It is far and away probably one of the worst submachine guns in the game. It is junk. You should absolutely not use it. The Hailstorm, the TR 2nd generation submachine gun, 800 at 125, and with a 60 round magazine. It's D tier verging on F tier. So the problem with the Hailstorm is, yes, you do get a 60 round magazine. The problem is the Sirius and the Blitz, its competitors in the 2nd generation, have more DPM than it does in exchange for only 10 less rounds. Basically, your Blitz and your Sirius are 845, whereas your Hailstorm is 800. You're losing 45 RPM, which can make quite a difference at close ranges. In addition, the Hailstorm suffers kind of a slow reload, it's not that fun to use, the recoil pattern on it is kind of wonky, it's just really not a good submachine gun. I don't think it's as bad as some of the other options here, but honestly, you're very safe to skip this thing if you're going to be going for your Directive submachine gun. Now, all 3 of the NSO submachine guns are going in F tier. And this might come as a surprise to some of you, and this might not come as a surprise to others. First things first, the PMG 100, it is junk. It's 896 at 112. That is the exact same rate of fire as the Armistice, a full damage tier lower. It only got a 40 round mag, it doesn't reload super quick, it's not super enjoyable to use, it is junk. It's bad. The PMG 200 is much the same story, it is also junk, albeit for slightly different reasons, and the 3XP is an interesting concept. I mean, the 200 is basically just a slight damage and magazine shift on the 100, so you can't save it, honestly. The 200 is junk. Drop the 100 and the 200. So then you have the 3XP. It has auto burst. It is 650 at 143, is what the game tells you, but you have to keep in mind that it auto bursts. In 3-round bursts. It's bad. It's not fun to use, it's not reliable to use, you will probably get dropped before you even get all your rounds downrange. It is junk. Avoid it. Then we get the Schrodinger. This is the NSO's Directive reward. It is essentially a slightly modified version of the PMG-100, except it shoots 2 pellets, being 896 at 60 damage per pellet, meaning it's effectively 896 at 120. It does literally nothing the PMG-100 doesn't do better, and the PMG-100 is already terrible. The Schrodinger is more unreliable because it is a pellet-based mechanic, the magazine is smaller because it has some weird ammo shenanigans going on, it's not even fun to use, it's just junk. Do not grind the Schrodinger, it is absolutely not worth your time. We're going to skip the other Directive submachine guns here until I've actually gone through all of their regular versions, so we will talk about the Armistice. The Armistice is a borderline S tier. It's 896 at 125, which is very good, it kills very quickly, and it feels very comfortable to use. It's got a good reload speed, it's got a slightly bigger magazine than the other first generation submachine guns at 30 rounds, 40 with extended, and it just feels good. The recoil pattern is nice, it kills quickly, it is just a very nice submachine gun. It is good at what it does. The Sirius, the Vanu Sovereignties, high capacity submachine gun, the second generation. Sirius, I believe, is also A tier. It is 845 at 125, much like the Blitz, except the problem is the recoil pattern on the Sirius is kind of wacky and it makes it a bit harder to use. That is the sole thing keeping the Sirius out of S tier, is that the Blitz does it better. Solely because the Sirius has the weird recoil pattern where the gun will stabilize itself, which just makes it kind of annoying to use. It's not bad though, and it is arguably the best submachine gun the Vanu have to offer. And that said, the Canis. I think the Canis you can argue is B or A depending on player preference. So the way the Canis works, I personally think it's a B tier gun. It starts at 600 RPM, and as you fire, it spools up to 667. It's also worth noting that it does 167 damage, so at full spool, it has more DPS than the Cyclone. The problem is, at only 600 RPM to start, it's got the same DPS as the Jackal, which is C tier. So the problem is, by the time you're really approaching good DPS, there's already been enough time passed for you to get shot in the face. It's not that bad of a submachine gun, and it does have unstable ammunition available to it. Shout out to the 1 or 2 days when it was overpowered as hell when it came out. But the Canis it's okay, it's just the spool up mechanic makes it a little unwieldy. And in that regard, I don't think I can consider it better than the Sirius or really even A tier. The Shuriken. Oh baby, the Shuriken is S tier in my humble opinion. It is an Armistice that gets extended mags built in, so you've got 40 rounds out of the box, which is already the Armistice's greatest problem was that do you take the laser or do you take the extended? The Shuriken lets you do that. You get the extended built in, so now you can take the laser. So you're basically just left with an Armistice that has a slightly bigger magazine, or 10 rounds more magazine, that you can also take the laser on. It is arguably a straight upgrade on the Armistice. But here's the kicker, because it's TR, you can take extended magazines again, which means you can get a 50 round Shuriken. Now, I don't know about you, but an Armistice with 50 rounds is pretty damn gross. Also, it completely invalidates the need for the Hailstorm to exist because it way outguns it. So the Shuriken it is a great submachine gun. The Scorpios. The Scorpios is... I can't confidently put it above the regular Aerodani. For those unaware, the Scorpios get heat built into it. And, unfortunately, heat isn't that valuable on an infiltrator, especially on submachine guns that already have a fast, snappy reload. By the time you can actually find time to make a true use of the heat's cooldown, you'll already have been able to reload your Aerodani. In addition, you are stuck at 25 rounds because you cannot take extended. And what it really means is that you essentially have an Aerodani that has heat, instead of being able to get 35 rounds, or even having extended built in like the other Directive submachine guns. It's just painfully underwhelming because heat doesn't actually matter on it. And now, the gun we've all been waiting for. The Tempest. The new conglomerate's Directive submachine gun reward. It's an easy S tier. It is a Cyclone that gets extended mags built into the gun. We've already established that the Cyclone is arguably the best suitable SMG in the entire game. The Tempest is that, but it gets extended built in, meaning you don't have to pick now between a laser and extended mag. You can have both. The Tempest is just amazing. Without a doubt, It is extremely, extremely good and is absolutely worth your time should you want a Directive submachine gun. So, that's the list. Unfortunately, the submachine guns in this game are either, you know, really good, you know, they're S tier or they're A, B tier, or they're really bad, they're D or F tier. You know, you have the one Jackal and C, but other than that, everything's either good to really good or bad to really bad. And honestly, it's a bit sad because, you know, you're looking at this Directive, or not this Directive, but you're looking at the submachine gun lineup, and the first things you should be noticing are every single one of NC's submachine guns are in S tier. They're that good. Kind of makes you wonder, why would you play submachine guns on anyone else? In addition, Vanus are all in B tier, with the one exception being in an A tier, so they're just, you know, okay, and the Directive Award is arguably the least valuable of all of them. All the NSO ones are in F tier because they're all junk. Take my word for it, or, you know, jump in game yourself and try them out. You will not be happy. They are garbage. And then TR's is, like, you have your really, really good Armistice and Shuriken, the Jackal's okay, and then the Hailstorm's bad. Like, it's just, you know, it's kind of unfortunate how wacky these submachine guns are, because it's not really consistent quality across any of them. And you know what, I'm sure people will disagree with me in the comments, and that's absolutely okay. Please disagree. Please tell me what you think. You know, if you think that I am just absolutely gigabrain stupid on some of these picks, tell me. But from my experience using all of these guns, that's just how I feel, you know? The NSO ones are all shit, the NC ones are all extremely good. You know, there's not a whole lot more to say, so... let me know if you would like me to keep the VTuber model for future reviews. For these tier list ones, or stuff like this where we're just kind of looking at something, I'll probably continue to use it just because it makes it a little more interesting. But if you'd like to see me start using the model in actual reviews, just let me know. Because it is my model too, so, you know. Yeah, thank you if you're still here. I hope I didn't scare you too much with these picks. And I will see you tomorrow. Bye.